Hey, I'm Liz Cantor. I'm applying for the fall 2020 nursing school admissions. Here are my answers to the questions. So the first question is, what does AHU mission of healthcare as a ministry mean to you? So what it means to me is I want a learning environment that's going to help me pursue Christ and help me pursue being like Christ and his mission to serve others. I love serving others the way Jesus served, by healing the blind, being hope to the hopeless, and a father to the fatherless. It is in the Bible where God tells us to love the orphans and the widows, and that's just my heart. I want to be able to help all of those who need helping. And I want a learning environment that's going to help me pursue Christ and help me want me to love others as Jesus did and introduce Christ into the material, as well as teaching us how to love others mind, body, and spirit. And I think that's very important, to be able to love everyone holistically and not just the body itself, as most nursing programs do. The second question is, do you have experience working in a healthcare setting? And the answer is yes, I have plenty of experience. My first degree, I started out as a nursing major and then felt like that was not what God wanted for me. So I did about 300 hours in a clinical setting. My senior year, trying to figure out what I was going to do, I did a internship. I did 2 at a hospital. The first was a cardiac short stay unit where I was able to help take vitals, talk to patients, and lead them from the waiting room to their rooms, as well as kind of observe and shadow the providers doing procedures such as pacemakers or cardiac ablations. And then the second internship was a pediatric child life specialist. So this internship, I got to go and play with kiddos all day, which was so fun, but also not just playing with them, but watching how they develop, watching how the 9-month-old was different from the 9-year-old and what they wanted to play with, and learning how to explain procedures to a 2-year-old versus a 12-year-old. And so I got to shadow the child life specialist in that, and that was a very cool experience. After college, I then started teaching high school science. So I taught high school science for 1 year. I taught anatomy, physiology, out of a college textbook, biology, earth science, and health, and botany, zoology. And I love teaching, but I know that that's not what God has for me. I got to teach students from 9th to 12th grade, so I got to learn through the lifespan of an adolescent, which is very interesting. So I got to talk with them about problems such as sex and Jesus and how he is in that, and then talk about anatomy and biology and how God is in the innermost beings of all those things and the inner workings. And then finally, this past year, I did get my CNA license. So I'm a licensed CNA as well as a licensed medical assistant. My current job is I'm working in OBGYN as a medical assistant with several different providers. It's totally my heart. It's what I love to do. I love pregnant moms. I love babies. I love getting to pour into that population. The third question is, what habits do you have that you feel would lend themselves to the rigors of a bachelor in science and nursing? So one thing is I have been journaling forever. I write everything from my yoga workouts to my plans for the day to my notes for this speech. And usually everything is color coordinated and put in binders. That is also color coordinated on a shelf that I can easily grab things. So I'm very organized. That's one of my biggest skills. And I also, my first bachelor's was a bachelor's of health sciences, which is a ton of STEM classes, which is super challenging. Another thing is I know my boundaries when it comes to studying, and I know because of the boundaries I've set, I know my limits. And I know that exercising helps me a lot. Going for a walk, going for a hike cleanses my mind in order to refocus. So that's a big habit that I've learned is taking breaks when you need them, but not too many breaks, of course. The fourth question is, do you plan on working? I do. I plan on working PRN, so about 20 hours a week at the OBGYN clinic. So it's in the medical field. So I'll still get that experience kind of learning new procedures and new diseases in the women's health world, but not overextending myself and working too much. I'm very lucky that my husband is working right now and he is providing for me and has a wonderful, stable job. So I'm very blessed in that sense. And then what is the last one? So please describe an encounter that you had with a difficult person. How did you react initially to the situation? How was that encounter resolved? And what did you learn from it? So when I was teaching, I had just, was a new faculty on the staff, learning the students, learning the other teachers, learning how to teach myself. And I had another counterpart teacher who I had heard she'd been talking about me. And unfortunately, several of the students had come to me and said, Miss such and such has said this about you. And I was really confused because I was a new staff. I'm, learning how to teach, learning how to deal with moody teenagers and everything. So initially I was kind of shocked to see that another Christian staff member was talking about me to students. So I was able to go and I went and confronted that teacher and I said, hey, just kind of heard through the grapevine that you have said some negative things about me in class. Do you care to elaborate? Is there something I can do better? Is there something we can fix? And she was very hesitant to talk to me at first, and that was okay. So then I went to the next authority. So, going up the line, and I went to the principal and I said, this is what I'm hearing. I'd really love to fix this. Let's make a plan. So we were able to sit down, all three of us, and talk about why she was talking about me, what we could do better, and how I could be more positive to her and more of a light to her. So it was a very tough experience. I definitely cried many tears over the things that she had said about me, but God is faithful. God is so merciful, and thankfully this teacher and I have a better relationship now. And after teaching, she threw me a shower, a bridal shower, so that's good news. And then the last question, whenever you begin something new, like a nursing program, there are challenges that arise. Academically, what do you think these couple of challenges might be? How do you think you might overcome them? So there's a lot of material coming at us at once, and so I'm worried about getting confused or whatever, but I think the first step I would go to is tutoring. Talking things out. I'm an auditory processor, which means that I hear whenever I talk things through is when I understand them. So talking with a tutor, talking in groups of other study people, studying together in a group is really helpful. And then again, like I said, in my habits, knowing my limits and setting those boundaries. So knowing that I can't study for 24 hours straight, maybe 8 hours straight is a little bit better than 24. And so setting those goals, those boundaries within those goals. So setting a goal saying, I'm going to study for 2 hours, and then studying for 2 hours, and studying in those groups and everything. So yes, thank you so much for listening to my video. I am super excited to hear from you guys. If there's anything else that you guys need from me, I am here and open to talk. Thank you so much.